Hello everyone, hope you're having a great day. My name's Vince and thank you for joining me for another episode of Secrets of the Trails. Today we're in Deal, Pennsylvania, ready to check out the Great Allegheny Passage segment from Deal to Meyersdale. We're here at the Deal Trailhead. It's listed on gaptrail.org as a rural trailhead, and honestly, as a credit to this small community, you can't get much more rural along the Gap than Deal. The rolling farmlands sitting on the windward side of Savage Mountain, views of some wind turbines, and a conspicuous lack of cell service. But as far as trailheads go, I don't think that the Gap Conservancy gives it all the due that it deserves. While it's listed separately as an access point for the trail, it isn't listed on the interactive mapper for people who want to plan segment rides. It isn't even listed in Trail Guide. But I've biked past this trailhead enough to see that it is very popular and often very busy. So I think it deserves a place on the interactive mapper. Now, parking here is spacious. It's a large gravel lot that gaptrail.org notes as having space for, quote, about 20 vehicles, end quote. But take a look. There are at least 36 curbstones in the lot, so there's a good amount of space for parking here for well over 20 vehicles. The trailhead also features a toilet, a bicycle repair station and lock mounts, and a covered seating area. But just to note, there are no water facilities at this trailhead. The trailhead is accessible from Deal Road that runs alongside the trailhead connected to Glade City Road to the west near Meyersdale and to Mackenzie Hollow Road just to the east. And as we said last time, Mackenzie Hollow Road crosses over the Eastern Continental Divide that we saw in the last episode. So before we mount up and check out this trail segment, let's talk a bit about the area around this trailhead, Deal. Deal is a small, unincorporated community situated on the top of the Allegheny Mountains near Mount Davis in the state of Pennsylvania. While not much is widely documented about Deal specifically, its proximity to farmlands and to two major rail lines, the old Western Maryland Railway, now the Great Allegheny Passage Rail Trail, and the current major rail line used by Amtrak and CSX, it's not unreasonable to assume that, like many small towns in Pennsylvania, Deal likely has a history tied to early European settlement, coal mining, and agriculture. There does appear to be an Amish and Mennonite presence in the area. But because there isn't much published about the history of this community, I'd love to hear from anyone out there who has more information on the history of this area. You can let me know in the comments below or visit our website, secretsofthetrails.com. So now let's mount up and ride the Deal from Meyersdale segment of the Great Allegheny Passage. Starting here at the Deal Trailhead, this segment measures at 7.3 miles point to point. The treadway surface is primarily crushed limestone. There are a couple of road crossing points along the way, and also there are a few wood surface bridges where the trail crosses over Flockety Run as it meanders its way back and forth across the trail. This segment here is a really smooth ride for the most part. Deal Road runs off to the north, off on our right, but you can barely tell because of all the vegetation off on the right-hand side here. And Flockety Run and its wetlands are just to our left. For the moment, Flockety Run goes back and forth across the trail several times. But this first mile and a half or so is so relaxing, notwithstanding the wind that we typically get on the western side of Savage Mountain that can happen pretty much any time of year, any time of day, any weather. But for those inclined to take nice relaxing rides or walks, this segment can really lure you into a nice relaxing state. So who needs yoga? Coming up here are the first of several trail crossings for Flockety Creek. Now we're coming up to gap mile 26.4. Warren's Mill is labeled as an access point. As we come close to the road intersection here with Warren's Mill Road, we see a small parking area for about 5 to 6 vehicles, maybe if you squeeze in tight. Now, Warren's Mill isn't officially recognized as a trail access point by the Great Allegheny Passage Conservancy, but it's marked as a gap trail access and as Somerset County Recreation and Trails Association on Google Maps. And there aren't actually any amenities here at this trail access, but here's why I think Warren's Mill access point is important. Right there. This is Amish Donuts, Jams, and Produce, a roadside shop beside the trail along Warren's Mill Road. According to Google, it's open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and features baked goods on Fridays and Saturdays. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. Big deal. What's the big deal? Amish Donuts. I mean, come on, it's Amish Donuts. Seriously, if you've never tried them, you're really missing out. I've had a number of Amish-style donuts in various places between Pennsylvania and Ohio, and I will tell you something, Dunkin' Donuts, you just can't compare. So we're back on the trail, going over another little wooden deck bridge over Flyovers Creek. And this segment can actually pretty much lull you into a nice relaxing state. Rolling farmlands here, some marshes on the side here next to Flyovers Creek that we're going over again. As we've mentioned before, most of this segment is pretty lacked for cell service. So even if you have a good GPS or your trail app, you make sure that you download your app or your map before you go through this segment. Obviously, I think it's pretty hard to get lost here on the Great Allegheny Passage, but it's always neat to see on your trail apps what you're passing along the way. We just passed gap mile 28 there, and we're coming up to another trail access that's called Sand Patch. So through here, unmarked, gravel, space for about maybe what, 7, 8, 10 cars. What makes this trail access unique is this rail yard at Sand Patch that is just to the north of the trail. It's down there on Miller Run Road where we came from. This is actually an active rail line and an active rail yard for CSX. Obviously you could see some of their CXS trucks there. So obviously this isn't abandoned. And in the past, I've actually seen some trains roll across this segment. So pretty cool that there's an actual active rail yard close to the Great Allegheny Passage. One of the nice features about this segment of the trail is that you get to see some views of the wind farms that dot the hilltop in this area. And the last bridge I think we're going to be going over here, watch that wood planking that's pulled up there. Hello, Gap Trail Conservancy. I think somebody needs to fix that. As we're going across this little segment, looking off to the right, you can see the active rail line, CSX rail line, across there. We're going to be going over top of it pretty soon. Coming up at mile 29.8 here, there are a fair number of, wow, look at that, spots on the Great Allegheny Passage, and this is one of them. The Keystone Viaduct is a massive 900-foot long, elegantly curved combination truss bridge and deck plate girder viaduct. As we go across it, we're pretty much flying nearly 100 feet above Flaugherty Creek, Glade City Road, and the active CSX rail line. In that order, Flaugherty Creek, Glade City Road, and the CSX rail line over there. The viaduct was built in 1911 by the Western Maryland Railway as part of its expansion into Connellsville. It was renovated in 2003, including modern decking and infused iron oxide into the concrete. And some years ago, CSX actually raised this section, which is why you have this little segment that's about a 5% grade, so that their double-decker, double-top cars can pass underneath this segment of the bridge. Now I'm going to turn around because something like this, you always want to see it from the opposite direction too. So we're going to fly back down the Keystone Viaduct. Wind farm up there, little 5% grade, and then evens out as we go over Glade City Road and Flaugherty Creek down below. If you listen, you might be able to hear the water going. Or maybe that's just the wind. Beautiful nonetheless. Okay, we're going to turn back around and keep on going on our Deal to Meyersdale segment. This segment around mile 30 here is a little bit narrower cut for a short stretch. We're coming close to Meyersdale Borough itself, so off on the left we're going to start seeing some homes down below there. So right here at Gap mile 30.3 we have one of the last intact iron bridges. The Bowman Bridge is an 81-foot cast and wrought iron truss bridge that stands as one of the few remaining bridges built by pioneering bridge builder Wendell Bowman. His patented designs were marked by ornate cast iron end pieces, compression members, and lacework. His iron bridges contained a numbering system cast into the pieces that made it easy for unskilled laborers to re-erect. I did an expanded bit on this bridge and its history and how it got to be here on secretsofthetrails.com. So please check that out. It's an interesting story. Suffice it to say for this video that I think every Gap Trail user should be happy and honored to have this piece of history on this trail. There's another nice little shaded close cut through this section here. On hot days like this, those kinds of little breaks are definitely welcome. Now, just east of the Meyersdale trailhead itself, this interpretive sign tells the story of how Meyersdale became known as Pennsylvania's Maple City. And if you're a fan of maple syrup, you may agree that Meyersdale has earned the nickname of the sweetest place on earth, but I think Hershey, Pennsylvania might take issue with this. Okay, we are going to cross Main Street here. Just be careful because it's hard to see from the hill. And at mile 31.9, we've reached the Meyersdale trailhead. And now we've reached mile 31.9, the Meyersdale trailhead. This is one of the premier trailheads along the Great Allegheny Passage, and we'll explore it a bit more next time. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at the Great Allegheny Passage segment from Deal to Meyersdale. It's an easy sub 10 mile ride, and this makes it perfect for those who like to do long trail hikes. Its charm is obvious from its unspoiled rural peacefulness, breathtaking scenes on its viaduct flyover, historical architecture, a mostly flat, easy ride or walk, oh, and Amish donuts. So just remember to download your maps on your trail app before you set out. And that's all the time we have for today. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope to see you next time for another episode of Secrets of the Trails. Have a great ride.